seriously, how you use your time is core to everything. And it's not a sexy subject.
Right?
But if you can't manage yourself and time effectively, you will waste your time.
Welcome to the Sold Out Sales Podcast, the podcast that will equip both the seasoned sales professional and the more reluctant seller with mindset shifts and strategies needed to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Welcome back to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. It's always such a pleasure. It is my absolute, it's one of the best times of my week when I get a chance to hang out with you all here. And today you're going to get a chance to meet someone that I've just recently fallen in love with. She's just amazing. I had the opportunity of sharing the stage with her for a National Association of Women Business Owners event just very recently, and we serve on a board together. And you're just going to love her. Her name is Gina Smith, and she is her self-prescribed the most unlikely salesperson. But she was also an award-winning sales strategist. She's going to talk with us today, and I'm going to extract from her ways for us to sell smarter, live better, and hear about her signature programs, Time Shift and Sell Smart. So if you're ready to dive into getting results without burning out, let me say that again, results without burning out and high energy conversations, this is exactly what you need. So Gina, welcome to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I'd love to
Hey,
hear,
Tish.
tell us a little bit about yourself, and please share with us something that we will not hear about in your bio or on your website.
I'm telling you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a military family. My dad served in the Air Force, so I grew up part of my life on military bases
Mm-hmm.
and didn't really move around and travel a lot. I served myself in the Air Force for 5 years and was a military wife for a period of time and have lived in the US from coast to coast and in a couple of countries overseas for 5 years. So I've had a great and adventurous life. I'm
Wonderful.
one of five kids in my family. I'm the oldest daughter, which means I'm really the person who is in charge.
Yes.
And I love life. I went to college right after high school, graduated from college, entered the Air Force, and finally started a corporate career after kicking around Europe for 5 years. And we'll talk more about that when we start talking about my career. What you
Wonderful.
won't find out about me in my biography is that I can speak basic German.
Ah, that is impressive. I did not know
I
that.
lived in Germany for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up German because I lived in a little German village with about 300 people.
Mm.
With the only other English speaking person was my ex-husband, and I hung out with these German housewives all day before I found a job, and I just started picking up the language. Now, could I be fluent now? I don't know. But if people are speaking German around me, I can usually get the gist of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not in my bio.
That sure isn't, and I'm really excited to learn that about you. I'm hearing, however, things that I just didn't know or maybe didn't register how similar our backgrounds are. So my dad was Army, but
Okay.
I grew up in a military household. Didn't move around a lot either, mostly because my parents had me late in their career. And so by the
Okay.
time they had me, they were headed towards retirement, in all honesty. So my brothers and sisters got to go all over the world. I went to Prairie View, Texas. That's the only place I
Ah,
got to go with the
yes.
military. My dad was an ROTC instructor there before he retired.
Okay.
And interestingly, I grew up on the border of Mexico. So I can speak, pretty basic Spanish as well. I used to be very fluent, but I've been away from it for so long. I don't know that I can carry a fluent conversation. So there we go.
We do share that background, and I just the military background informs a lot of my life,
Yeah.
and it plays a big part in the woman I become, and it plays a big part in even just the success I had as in corporate life.
Mm. Well, let's talk about that. What you describe yourself as the most unlikely salesperson. So share a little bit about that title that you've given yourself, how it became, and what is your approach to sales and leadership?
When I was growing up, I never knew any salespeople that I consciously knew. Maybe the Tupperware lady that came to the house or the insurance person that would call on military families to sell insurance to my parents. I didn't consciously know any salesperson. Becoming a salesperson never entered my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I started my corporate career, I have a master's degree in human relations and management. So I went for HR as a career choice, and I was a human relations professional for about 5 years. And I liked HR, but I got kind of bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a little bit frustrated with it because just like we see happening now, you get to the end of the year every year and start laying off people.
Yeah.
And that would just drive me crazy. It's like, why are we going to, we're trying to make the number, so we're going to go and cut a bunch of people in November so that it looks like we're delivering to Wall Street.
Mm.
And but having been in HR in a company that had a sales force, I noticed I was in this region in New York, and the big dogs, these guys that sold in New York City, they come driving up in these big black Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these guys are doing pretty well. And at the time, women started to get into the field. And I noticed, oh, here, there's a woman. She's a region manager.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman. Oh, she's an award-winning salesperson. And I thought maybe I should check it out. And over the years, I'd had a couple of people say, oh, you should go in sales. But because I didn't picture myself as a salesperson, I would be like, no, I don't think so. Because I thought to be a salesperson, you needed to be male.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be, loud and boisterous and pushy so you could push those sales through. And none of those things really represent me.
Right.
So hadn't pictured myself that. And I found myself walking into the office of one of the product sales managers one day, literally just to shoot the breeze. And he said, we can't find anybody for this role. And I
Mm.
asked him, well, what is it? So he described the role to me, and I thought, I could do that. And I ended up applying for the job. My boss thought I was crazy. People were like, why would you want to do that? You do so well with where you are. I also could see there wasn't like a real big future with HR
Yeah.
in terms of ability to progress or positions to progress to. And I actually think they gave me a mercy interview. That somebody said, we got to interview her. She's in the company. She applied. She qualifies.
Yeah.
But I slammed it. I killed it.
Wow.
And the guy who ended up being my first senior salesperson that I learned from said, we walked downstairs to the bar, sat down and said, without discussion, who do we want? And everybody said Gina. So,
Wow.
and that really kicked off the beginning of more than 27 years as a sales professional.
Mm. Wow. That's
I spent a,
fantastic.
yeah, I spent about half of that time as an individual contributor,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other half as a regional sales director. And, I had large regions with $150 million of sales in it. And I look back now, it's like some companies aren't that big.
Yeah, a lot of companies aren't that big. So, what do you think was the thing about you, Gina, that set you apart well enough for them to have interviewed other people who may have been way more qualified from a sales experience perspective, but they saw something different about you? What do you think that was then, and how do you think that contributes to the way that you sell and teach selling now?
I think the first thing is when I was preparing for the interview, the light came on and I realized I'd been selling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd been selling ideas, policies, procedures, the new benefits plan, all the stuff that you sell in an HR role, and I didn't see it as selling. And I'm a good communicator. And I think one of the things I took from the family I grew up in, my dad like taught us as kids, you look people in the eye when you talk to them. You shake hands and you look people in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think coming off as a solid, good communicator, I was very organized. I came in with my little organized brag book
Yeah.
and all the things that you bring to an interview. And I think they could see in me that I had the capability to carry out what needed to be done in the role. It was a very high person contact, very consultative type of sell,
Mm-hmm.
long-term large contracts. And they saw in me that I could do that.
Wow, wow. It's interesting. I know all those things are true for you. What I think I see in you is just your authentic communication style, the way that you make people feel so seen and felt and appreciated. And I think that when we talk about sales, those are never the qualities that people tend to
Yes.
focus on, but those are the qualities that people technically buy. They buy the fact that I get to work with you. I get to be in your presence. I get to get a solution from you. And so that's what I see. And I bet you they saw a lot of that as well.
Thank you. And, we've shared that we're both introverts. I'm
Right.
really an introvert who's learned to act like an extrovert.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things might be part of my God-given personality, might also be part of growing up in a military family. You know as well as I do, people are coming and going in your life all the time.
All the time.
Your best friend could come to school and say, my dad got orders to Japan, and they're gone in 60 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
A new kid could come to school in May. You don't have a choice of who you live next door to.
Right.
So the people are from any kind of background. We had so many kids that we grew up with, their dad was American and their mom came from Japan or from Korea or from
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador or somewhere.
Yeah.
So you interact with all kind of people, and it doesn't phase you to go out in the world and meet all kinds of people because you just know they're just people, just like you.
Yeah. I fell into sales by accident, but for the very same reason, exact same reason. It's like, oh, I just love helping people. I love helping people to get their solution or whatever, whomever they might be, or with their background, no matter what. So I firmly, completely agree with what you're saying.
And I had to build relationships. I sold to hospitals and to the big procedure areas, but the supplies are always handled by either a warehouse or the sterile department that handles supplies to the sterile areas. So I had to make friends with the janitor who
Mm,
actually knows everything that's going on.
yeah.
To people that were lower level technicians, to, the MBAs who were running an operating room, to people in the C-suite. And I just think my life experience and the way my parents raised me helped me know how to be able to communicate with all those people on all those different levels because it's a different kind of communication. And I always just bring I just bring my goofy self to the table. And I'm usually interested in people. And so I don't have a hard time just being authentic and listening to them.
Mm. That part right there is the most important thing, is being willing to care enough about the person to hear what they ultimately need. Then you can potentially propose a solution. But at the beginning, it's like, just be willing to hear who they are, what they need, and just care enough about them. Period. Have you ever gone to a networking event or a conference and found that although you made great connections and you walked away with a stack full of business cards, you still didn't have a real plan for how to get a good return on your investment of both time and money? Well, let me tell you, having a networking and sales planner is a way for you to be more intentional about the way that you network.
Hey, I'm Susan Gladstein. I'm a functional nutrition and metabolism specialist, and I got connected with Tish because she is a rock star at systems and sales. And so I downloaded the planner to help get my brain organized as I went through a rebrand and launched a new course. And it's really helped me sort of get things out of my head and onto paper so that I can actually do follow-ups and not just rely on my brain. So far it's rocking my world and making my business systems that were non-existent actually have some sort of structure. So I love it. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed.
I've been working with sales professionals for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that when they don't have a plan, they do nothing. They sit at their desk and wonder what to do. Well, with this networking and sales planner, you have profit producing activities for every single day of the week. It tells you where to go, what to say, even gives you prompts as to how to interact with people that you don't know. If you're an introvert and you feel like this isn't for you, I have already thought of you because I understand exactly how introverts think. So this gives you the tools enabling you to be armed with words, with language, so that you can make your networking more profitable.
Hey everyone, Rachel Neighbors here from solo401k.com. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about how awesome this sales networking planner is that Tish put out. So as you can see, I have it on my Remarkable. That's my sort of e-ink planner. And this sales planner has been so helpful for me. So I'm an old school pay-per-click marketer. I do Google ads, Facebook ads, and I know how to turn advertising into profit. But I didn't know how to turn network sales into profit. And when I met Tish, this woman literally wrote the book on networking called, Networking is Not a One-Night Stand. And she's put that experience and that energy and those valuable tips into this networking sales planner. And I just think that it can be so powerful for you in your business. I know it's been really helpful for me and mine. One thing that Tish told me is, Rachel, when you meet someone, put them into your planner and then follow up with them like they're a lead that you've generated on Google Ads or that you followed up with or that you've generated on Facebook. And that has been so helpful and transformative in my business. So thank you, Tish, for this awesome planner.
Maybe you don't even like networking. You say things like, networking doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, when you have a plan in place, you have some intention, and you have the tools to be able to make it work, you will see a different result. My new networking and sales planner is a game changer. It's the difference between you going to an event, wandering around and walking away without any purpose and without any new money, and walking into an event with a plan, with a purpose, and being able to convert new clients into your business. No one wants to feel inauthentic and pushy or even salesy when following up. So frequently we just don't do it at all. Well, the profitable follow-up formula, which is in the back of your networking and sales planner, will give you the tools and the language and the frequency with which you should be following up so that it feels very authentic. It feels genuine and natural both to you and to the people that you're reaching out to. Go to tishtimes.com/planner to get your digital or physical version of your planner.
Hi, my name is Cheryl James from CL James Consulting, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how awesome this networking sales planner is. I started intentionally networking at the beginning of this year, and I have been using my planner on a regular basis, not only to get inspiration, but to track the people I want to meet and the people I have met, and to make sure that I follow up with them from week to week. So if you are looking to network intentionally and hold yourself accountable, this planner is a must-have.
And once you get your planner, you'll also receive a video series that's going to teach you how to maximize your networking and how to use this planner to get the best result and best return on your investment of both time and money. If you are ready to stop wasting time with networking and turn your networking into a sales machine, then go to tishtimes.com/planner and grab your networking and sales planner. I think I said this wrong earlier. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Your program, Sell Smart, Live Well, it really focuses on driving results without burnout. Can you kind of share what are more of the strategies that really help sales professionals achieve sustainable results?
I think having a plan and having consistency with your efforts to fulfill that plan, because there's a lot of distractions in life.
Goodness gracious, yes.
And not following a plan. And I just think for some people, being serious about what you do.
Yeah.
And when you're in sales, for yourself or for a corporation, you have to meet a number. The number doesn't go away. And if you don't do the work that you need to do in planning, if you've got a big, busy territory or a big, busy enterprise, you have to plan how you use your time. And that kind of ties into the time management thing I do.
I was going to that next.
Is seriously, how you use your time is core to everything. And it's not a sexy subject.
Right.
But if you can't manage yourself and time effectively, you will waste your time.
For sure. For sure.
And I had to learn that at one point in my career, particularly when I was a sales rep, I worked 60 hours a week. And some of it I was chasing the money. The money was really awesome.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to serve my customers and please my customers and always deliver. So preparing myself for that next visit to them and delivering whatever they asked me for. And I ran myself into the ground.
Yeah.
And I realized that's not sustainable.
Hmm.
And I left my job as a rep and I took my first management role in a different division because our company used to suggest you go try another division to see what another product line is like. Well, in a couple of years, the company sold that division off, and there went my job.
Wow.
And then the light went on. I was like, wait a minute, I have been killing myself. I've sacrificed personal stuff. And just like that, with the stroke of a pen, there goes my job because they sold that off. And the new company said, we don't need your people. We just want to buy
Mm.
the other assets of the business. And I just realized in that moment, my life has to change and I can choose to do that.
Wow.
So I wasn't taking care of myself. So the first thing I started doing is like, I'm gonna go get back into my athletic self, go back to the gym, get proper nutrition because you can have some really bad nutrition when you're running around your car all day.
Yeah.
And even just put some boundaries around my life. Like, I don't work on vacation anymore.
Yep.
I don't work past this many hours because I started to realize the work never gets done. So
Yeah.
I literally could work 24 hours and I'll wake up in the morning and there'll be 25 emails.
Yep.
So here's how long I'm going to work and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, I had people supporting my territory. You can call them when I'm gone.
Yep.
You can call my boss when I'm gone. But my vacation has a purpose, and the purpose is not for me to be sneaking off on a computer to work while the people I'm with are looking for me like having a good time.
Mm.
And it's really setting boundaries like that. And I think one of the things that happen in, our modern age is I've been selling for a long time. When I first started selling, we didn't have cell phones or laptops.
Yeah.
We had desktops.
Yep.
And I think I had a wired in car phone. That was my first cell phone. So then people didn't have access to you 24/7.
Yeah.
And then once we started getting company issued cell phones and laptops, it's like, well, then we should be able to access you all the time. And it's like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
just for that you can't. And helping people learn boundaries like that, I was still successful once I put those boundaries in.
Probably more so because
Yeah, because I
now,
have more energy,
yes.
more, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's really it's eye-opening what happens when we get that revelation. We understand that. I went on a cruise, Gina, about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now for the first time. And I was petrified of the fact that I would be unattainable, inaccessible. Nobody would be able to
Mhm.
reach me. And girl, by day two, I was like, woo, I love it. And now cruising is one of my favorite means of travel because it forces me to fully unplug. And I
Mhm.
have, I have a hard time doing it when I'm here, right? But
Yeah.
I've learned just like you, it's like put boundaries in and I literally, when I do my onboarding, I literally tell them these are my work hours. I do not answer
Mhm.
phones after such and such a time. You can text
Yep.
me, but I will not respond to you until, because if we don't put in boundaries for ourselves, nobody is going to. And no one is going to keep a boundary that you won't keep,
Exactly.
right? So I'm loving this conversation. It's very evident already that we're going to have a part two because we're almost out of time. And I'm like,
Oh
what
no.
just happened? It went so fast. But I do want to know, how would you tell someone who is looking to transition into sales leadership? What are some of the things that they need to either focus on or even avoid in order to lead effectively a sales team or even lead themselves so that they can be more successful?
I think one of the most important things in my approach was always to understand people as they are.
Yeah.
The company or your product might have a system, but people communicate in different ways. People learn in different ways. People absorb information in different ways. And I always made it my job to find out, okay, this person needs hand holding,
Hmm.
and I need to tell them this to do. This person needs the idea, they go out and they execute.
Yeah.
And then you have the people in the middle. So how do the people learn best so then I can support them to do the best job they can within their style? And I found that very important.
Yeah.
The other piece would be learn how to manage up, which
Mm.
we don't do, and women particularly historically don't do well.
Mm. I need
And
you to
that's
say
why
more about
sometimes we
that.
see the guy going past us and we're like, where'd he come from?
Mm.
Because he knows how to manage up. So, how do you manage up? How do you brag on yourself?
Yeah.
How do you put your stuff out there or not sit in a meeting and let somebody steal your ideas and make it look like it's theirs?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I always made my job about the people because if the people on my team are successful, I won't say I don't have to work, but I can sit back because they are going to hit the numbers and make that success work.
Mm.
And it's really about the people. It's always about the people.
It really is. Can you, and I know we're literally almost out of time, but I gotta find out. Give us a very brief synopsis of what that really means to manage up.
It really means that you are making yourself visible. It really means that you're actually going to at least your manager and others that are in that realm, kind of understanding what they really want you to do, or you're making sure they know what you're doing,
Mm.
that you're raising your hands to be, hey, we're looking for people on a special project.
Yeah,
We're we're doing this, we're doing that. So instead of sitting back, yeah, raise your hand. I want to be involved in that because you really have to kind of make a name for yourself.
indeed.
And you have to be able to be outspoken and not in an obnoxious way, but just to speak up on issues, to speak up about yourself, to speak up about what's happening in the company.
I love it so much. I love that you're calling us out to sell smarter but live better because I think we don't talk about that enough. And the next time we talk, I definitely want to dive deeper into that. What's the best way, Gina, for people to connect with you? And is there anything that you want to share with our audience?
The best way for people to connect with me is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And my LinkedIn profile is look for my name, Gina R. Smith. And if you're watching this, you'll see my face. I have a different hairstyle, but you'll recognize me. I have a website. It's under construction now, but it's www.ginarrsmith.com. It's in the midst of a big transition. And those are really the two best ways to catch up with me. What I like to do is talk to people. Let me find out what your needs are. Let's have a conversation. Reach out to me on either of those ways, and you can find a scheduling link and schedule a conversation with me. Let's talk. Let's see what your challenges are. Let's see if I can help you. Let's just talk and make friends.
Love it so much. You want to make friends with Gina R. Smith because she's pretty amazing. Everyone that I find in my world that has met her and had a chance to really get to know her has immediately said she's pretty cool. So definitely reach out to Gina. Gina will definitely have you back in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for
Thank
spending time
you.
with us this week. You all go out. Get connected with Gina, put into practice something that you learned this week as a result of hearing Gina talk. And we will see you back here next week, same time, same place. Thanks.
Thank you, Tish.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I would be so appreciative if you would show me and my amazing guests some love by leaving a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, go over to tishtimes.com/resource page and make sure you pick up your sales and networking handbook, especially for introverts. Also, I would love to continue this conversation, so make sure you connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll see you back here next week.